Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome to WagerTalk TV and PuckTime. I am in the hosting chair today. Andrew's taking yet another vacation. This guy seems to take so many vacations. We might have to find another co-host, maybe Don Buster. But all kidding aside, I'm happy to be back 7 days away. Yes, I took a break off during the NHL playoffs, but it was a milestone birthday for my wife, and I had to take her to an island, build up those wife credits so I can go to Vegas more often throughout the year. Filling in today in my spot, as I fill in Andrew's spot, is Brian Leonard. Listen, and I'm happy to be back. I watched some of the shows. I really want to thank you for filling in for me while I was gone. And not only did you fill in, man, you've been smacking the bookmaker around. 9-3 baseball run, 10-4 NHL run. Maybe I should take more days off because while I'm away, you just seem to be killing it.
Yeah, it's worked out well. Unfortunately, I had the Miami Heat yesterday, and I liked them in the first period, the first half, and the full game. And I put out a 5% on the first half, which is the only one that didn't cover. So it was one of those days that I picked the wrong side, but it happens. But yeah, I appreciate it. It's nice to be back on the show and getting really exciting here in Vegas as we get to the Final Four once again.
Yeah, it is crazy. Johnny sent this picture of the map of North America with the teams that are still in it. And they just seem to, they're all in nice little climates where, as he said, they get no snow. And of course, no teams north of the border. Everyone north of the border wants to blame Batman. They want to blame the referees, just blame the team. If they're good enough, they would be in the conference finals. And if they're good enough, they would be in the Stanley Cup finals, winning one. We always want to look to blame other people. I'll blame myself. Yesterday, I take a flight back from Punta Cana. I get on the flight 2:30. We're about to take off, and they make the announcement that the Wi-Fi is not working. I had a play on Champions League game that I really needed to watch because I had some bigger cash on it and needed to win it. And of course, no Wi-Fi, couldn't follow it. Didn't land until about 7 o'clock. Saw the final score, and City won 4-0. So I was really happy about that. And then I had a big game last night that clients were also on, and that one goes the absolute opposite way. I got to watch a game that I did not want to watch because it ended up losing. So 100% transparency with that. We have a losing play, and I apologize to you guys for that one. But with that said, nobody likes these conference finals, but I do. We got the Florida Panthers, we got the Carolina Hurricanes. Two great stories. The Canes making it to the conference finals. Everyone always says, Brindamore. He's not the guy to lead them to the promised land. Well, they're 8 wins away from the promised land, 4 wins from making it to the Cup finals. And then the story on Florida, a team that got hot towards the end of the year, last year's President's Trophy winners, knock off the Bruins, knock off the Leafs, and here they are as an underdog yet again in another season, another series, and a team that's obviously doesn't have home ice advantage again for another series. And then you look at the other one, the Bruins. Oh my God, the Dallas Stars. So I'm not going to call them Minnesota North Stars. The Dallas Stars and your Vegas Golden Knights, Bri. Before we get into the games, and we only have one game, obviously, and we'll talk about the series as well too. I want to get your take, because you won't be on tomorrow's show. The Prez will be on tomorrow's show. I really want to get your take on the series, Dallas and the Vegas Golden Knights, because you're very close to this team. You're a season ticket holder. You follow the news. You actually have more news with all the outlets there. You're more in tune with it. Give me your thoughts on that series that starts tomorrow.
Well, I think it's going to be a great series. And the interesting part is every expert that I've read, the people I've talked to, they all like Dallas, but yet Vegas, because of the home ice advantage, is the favorite in the series. It will be interesting because I think it'll be totally opposite of what we just saw in the last series for both teams. Seattle's a team that could score at will. Edmonton's a team with the power play, could score at will. I think these two teams will be a lot tighter. I'm looking to play some unders here. I'm kind of hoping the first game could come out and they get like 2 or 3 goals in the first period, so I can play the under live and ride that maybe a couple of games. But these two teams are more of the take a lead and sit on it a little bit. And both teams like to do that. Unfortunately, in the last series, they couldn't do that because both teams they were playing against have very good offenses, especially Edmonton on the power play. The whole reason Vegas beat Edmonton was because they stayed out of the box. I believe the last game they had only 1 power play or 1, maybe 2 power play opportunities. So you keep Edmonton out of the box and don't give them that power play, and they're not very good. But both these teams, especially Dallas, I believe they led the NHL in 5-on-5 play this year. So should be a really tightly contested underdog series with the unders looking like a good play to bet on.
All right. You got to make it out to a few games. I know that as this series goes on, tickets are going to be a little tougher, probably, and a little higher to get a hold of. And then every other issue, commuting to the game and back. That Vegas traffic on game days can be pretty brutal, Brian. But you listen. One quick thing before we get into tonight's Carolina and Florida game. And it kind of segues with your great run in MLB, Brian, 9-3 run. But there is, because there's no last pitch on later, it was recorded earlier today. So you can find it for all you baseball guys out there. You can find it on our WagerTalk site. You can tune in after PuckTime today and prior to the WagerTalk today with Teddy and the Prez. If you want to catch some of the stuff that was done this morning. They recorded it prior to the stoppage time show that I just finished at 10 a.m. So you can get some baseball content. It's already up for today on our WagerTalk website. With that said, guys, let's get right to it. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and it is the Carolina Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers. Let's have a look at the numbers on this one. You've got the Canes minus 145, Florida plus 125. The total is 5.5, minus 125 to the over. Brian, there's a lot of interesting things about this series when I look at this series. And it is, listen, this has been a great story for Florida. Florida is the last live bet I have to win the Cup. It was a preseason bet at 9-1. I'm looking at, I could possibly hedge it out, but it is one where I only like to hedge bets that are higher than 12-1. I think once you start hedging bets that are 9-1, 8-1, you lose all value on them if they are to get into the finals as well too. And they'll likely be underdogs to short underdogs where they make the finals against either Dallas or the Vegas Golden Knights. The Canes will probably be a lot different. So I'm not going to hedge that bet. I'm going to hold on to Florida. For anyone who has my season package, who also got that Florida 9-1 play, I'm not hedging it. I'm going to hold on to it. If you want to hedge it, hedge 1 unit, cover what your initial liability was. I look at this game, and it's one where I think this is a series, unlike the series you just talked about, where I think we're going to see some goals in this series. Florida has been fantastic playing on the road thus far. They've been very good in first periods of games, not falling behind. And it's where I'm looking at as far as what happens at the end of this game. I believe it's a toss-up. I think the Canes are the better side here, and they're playing extremely well in the playoffs. But those Florida first periods have been money throughout the playoffs. Again, I mentioned against the Boston Bruins, they only allowed 3 goals in the first period of that series, I think up until about game 6, and 2 of them were power play goals. You can get Florida on the money line in the first period, and that's probably where I would go. I wouldn't take the plus half a goal because you're going to have to lay VIG, and I'm not big on laying the VIG, but you're going to get them about plus 120-ish in that first period, and that's where I'm leaning. Florida on the money line in the first period, and then I'll just sit back and watch the rest of the game and try and enjoy it. Give me your thoughts on this one, Bri.
Yeah, I think you're in a pretty good spot. If you don't like that 9-1, I'll buy that ticket off of you. I think they've got a decent chance, very good chance actually, to advance here. I agree. I think Carolina's the better team. They've got the home ice advantage. But as we have seen through the entire playoffs, all these teams can run on the road. Once you get to the road on the road in the NHL playoffs, you have a chance to win. And it's been a great series or great playoffs for people who like to play road underdogs. I kind of like Carolina here. Line's too high for me to play it. I was expecting more of a 135. If it gets down there, I may take a little bite of Carolina. But, you've got a Florida team who beats Boston, and then Boston was the favorite coming in. And then I believe Toronto, after that first round, everybody thought Toronto, from the money line standpoint, was the team that was supposed to win it all. Florida wins that one. And so it's hard to not bet against a Florida team in the underdog role in that regard. They're coming in. They're very confident. But keep in mind, there's been a nice rest period for all these teams. I was really surprised after the last games that they postponed them all the way till Thursday and Friday for the new series to start. Normally, I like to play them like in the NBA if a team comes off of like Boston. Boston in the NBA has that big Game 7 win over Philadelphia. And then, of course, they come back and lose to Miami Game 1. I like to play that because it's a short time frame. In the hockey, they didn't do that. So the one thing I'm kind of worried about for Florida is they were living on such a high, and now they've got all this time off. That may hurt them in Game 1. I think after that, then they'll be able to come back and be like they normally are, which is why I'm kind of leaning with Carolina. And I agree, this will be a higher scoring series. Carolina's goaltending has not been that good. Florida's goaltending has been great, but it changes a lot of times, as we've seen over the years. You can have a goalie standing on his head one series, and the next series somebody does something different, and he's not having that success. He's Bobrovsky coming off 2 great series for Florida. Can he do it again here against Carolina? We will have to see. This was a guy who a lot of people were very disappointed with earlier in the season, and they made some goalie changes, so we'll have to see. But he's hot right now, but will this big layoff affect him in that regard? It could be. Slightly with Carolina in Game 1 for me.
All right. Brian, you look at this and it's interesting because you can look at, obviously, with only one game on the night, you always look for a different props within the game, different series bets within the game. And you look at some of the series prices and you see Carolina, obviously, a minus 135 favorite on the series price, which is a pretty low price on them. And they have those plays up. Win the first game, sort of the double. Carolina win Game 1, win the series. I think Seth just mentioned it in our live chat as well too. And they're plus 150 to win Game 1. So if you like them, obviously, to win the game, and you think they're going to go on to win the series, plus 150 is not bad. We have, there are exact score series prices. I'm going to have one up at the end of the show as part of the charity challenge as well too. But you look at sort of the in-game ones, and Carolina, their team total, and their team total is 3.5 here. And I get what you're saying, and this sort of goes with what you're talking about as far as that momentum that Florida built. They had some great momentum. And I think the best thing that could have happened to Florida was for this series to start a couple days later. And now, they've had sort of the 3 or 4 days off. They've extended the series, the start date of this series. And you wonder about that. Will it take them a while to get that sort of that mojo that they have going to get it back as you head into Game 1? The Canes team total here is 3.5, and you're getting plus 120 on it, which isn't a bad price. In their 6 home games thus far, 3 of the 6 games they've gone over this number. In 2 of the 3 games that they played Florida this season, 2 of them ended in shutouts, 1 for each team, but in 2 of the games that Carolina won in winning that series 2-1 during the regular season, they scored 4 or more goals, 4 in one, 6 in the other. Do you even look at these kind of props, Brian, or are you more just sides and totals?
Yeah, more size and totals. If I lived in a city like Las Vegas, that would take props, I would get more into props. But actually, I did read something the other day where one of the sportsbook managers came out in an article and talked about it. He says we need to be more like the rest of the country, the rest of the world now, and start giving out more props. Hopefully, they can do that. I hate to have to move out of Las Vegas to bet. Whoever thought that day would happen.
Yeah, it is nuts. And, sort of to go off on a bit of a tangent, I remember as some of the states in the US were legalizing sports betting, some of the states put in their rules, they didn't offer odds on certain kinds of props because you could bet on props on, let's say, and I'll take soccer, for instance, a player to pick up a yellow card, a player to miss a penalty kick. And they didn't want to put up a prop that they thought a player had influence over. A player can pick up a yellow card. And there've been a lot of betting scandals across Europe. And now one in North America with a player from, I think it was Real Salt Lake of the MLS, who was paid X amount of dollars to pick up a yellow card. He came on and within 30 seconds of coming on into the game, picked up a yellow card. And so this is stuff. So I get it. And I think Iowa was one of those books that did not offer props on players failing to do something. But you would think that with all props, NBA, whether it's NBA, whether it's NHL, with shot props, a player can miss a net if he wants to miss a net and that got a shot on goal. It becomes obvious, I think. NBA points, rebounds. It's something that if you wanted to go under a number, you could influence under the number. You would hope that the books report any betting irregularities with that, so you hope that gets cleaned up. But Vegas definitely needs the props. I know a lot of hockey people in Vegas that will message me and say, "Why can't we get props?" And there's, I think, one hotel, Brian, that is run by it's either DK or FanDuel downtown. I'm not sure, but I don't think they still don't offer props. I don't even know of any books in Vegas that are offering regulation time bets. You're muted. I can't hear you, Brian.
Yeah, my cat was making noises again. Yeah, there's one. There's one book that that does it a little bit, but yeah, for the most part, you can't get them here.
Can you get? Are any books starting to change over to regulation lines, those 60-minute lines? Because I know in the playoffs, you can get a far better price in the playoffs, especially when we look at games going to OT or expected to go to OT. And I'll segue into that in a second on getting some better prices in regulation. Like if you liked, hypothetically, you like Florida tonight and they are plus 110 or plus 115, they've got to be about plus one, the plus 170, plus 180 probably to win it in regulation.
Yeah, we get no regulation bets in Las Vegas. In fact, it wasn't until recently, the last few years, where you couldn't bet on UNLV and Reno. And everybody said, well, if you're supposed to be the gaming capital of the world where you are the first to know if there's any irregularities, why don't you bet on those so that everybody else can see, hey, it's in your own backyard and you trust it. So now they've changed it so we can bet on those teams. But yeah, I've seen other states which maybe is it New Jersey with Rutgers? You can't bet Rutgers football or something. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If you can't control it in your own state, then you shouldn't be having gambling at all.
Yeah, I remember not a long time ago. We're going to get back to hockey because I have a question in our chat that I want to get to a few years ago, where I was at a sports book and I tried to bet an NBA playoff game, and they told me you can't bet that game here. And I don't know if it was Caesars,
yeah,
and who owned or the owner of Caesars or the conglomerate, whatever it is, had a stake in. Is it the Boston Celtics? I think
one of them was the Boston Celtics. The other was the Sacramento Kings. I believe they both
the Maloof brothers.
Yeah, the Maloof brothers was Sacramento. But then down at the Golden Nugget, you couldn't bet on the Boston Celtics because the owner was a small percentage owner in that team.
I don't get it. Gambling's legal everywhere. Allow this stuff to happen. Um, we love it. Let's enjoy it. And I'm getting we got to see this one. This is my way of saying get back to hockey. There you go. All right. All right, Joe Ranieri, wherever you are, you New York Jets fan, we're going to crush you guys. The Bills are going to crush you guys week 1 of the NFL season. But Jordy in our chat says, question to us, he's on an 8-2 run betting a player to score along with the same team to win the game. And he's like, what do you think about Aho to score tonight and the Canes to win? And that's about plus 270. I don't hate it just because I think we're going to see some goals tonight. I think Carolina is going to win the game. So obviously with that and liking the Carolina team total over 3.5, he's going to factor into the scoring. You would think he's going to factor into the scoring. He's coming off a couple series where some very tougher defensive teams for him in the New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils. Maybe a little more open game this time around, or open series this time around with the Florida Panthers. Brian, quick thought for you on that one. It's just a no-go for you because you're not following the props.
Yeah, it's a parlay. I don't do much in parlays. I will say with the Joe Ranieri picture you showed, I know Joe's not a lawyer, and he's in the courtroom there, so I'm assuming he's a defendant. And I could give you a whole list of reasons why he would be a defendant in the courtroom, but we'll leave that alone for now.
Yeah, we we definitely will. All right, guys, I'm going to go to a couple segments here. I'll save Brian for last, but we're going to do the charity challenge segment. I'm going to give you a couple of plays. Andrew has dropped one into our chat, so that is good. Into our work chat. Andrew is going to take in the charity challenge. He is going to take Brent Burns to register a point at minus 130 tonight. So Brent Burns to register a point minus 130 is Andrew's charity challenge play. Myself, this one is going to take longer. This is a play you're going to have to take tonight if you want it, but it'll last for the complete series for the Carolina. And that is the exact series score price, which is Carolina to win this series 4-1 at plus 550. I just have a feeling this is going to be one of those ones where the Canes win both games at home, head to Florida, win one of two, come home and clinch it on home ice. It's the gentleman's sweep where you give them one. So the Canes 4-1 correct series score plus 550. Really good price there on that one. And no matter what, the bet will still be alive regardless of what happens tonight. So it is a good bet to take. It's one that I'm taking for the charity challenge, and hopefully it comes in. Switching over to our best bet segment, Brian, I'll go to you. It's 50% off Thursdays at WagerTalk. It's a short card today across all sports. Do you have anything up? And even if you don't, give us a show best bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't find anything I liked well enough today to put out a play. All the lines were basically where I thought they would be, so we will pass on that. Since I'm not going to be on tomorrow, I was originally scheduled to be on tomorrow and Prez today, and he wanted to switch, so I'm going to talk about the Knights and Dallas series a little bit. This will be my best bet. I talked about all the pros seemingly being on Dallas. Dallas has played Vegas 3 times this year. I know it's the regular season. Dallas won all 3 games, 1 in regulation, 2 in overtime. They've outscored Vegas 9-3. Vegas has scored 3 goals in 3 games against Dallas. Now, I know it's different from the regular season and in the playoffs. DeBoer was fired from Vegas, so when his team played Vegas, his players were more fired up than the Vegas players were. They knew it was very important for they to win because of that, and so they give the extra effort. But to me, Dallas plays just the opposite of what Edmonton does. They play defensively. They play very much like the Knights do. So the advantages the Knights had against the other opposition, they won't have against Dallas. I expect a low-scoring series, and I think defense wins it. And unfortunately, being a Golden Knights fan, I think Dallas is the way to go for the money part. Getting them at plus 120. There's 115s out there. So give me Dallas to win the series is my best bet.
All right. I like it. And that shows, Brian, that shows a guy from Vegas who's a season ticket holder is completely putting any bias aside and telling you how he feels on it. So good luck with that play as well. Guys, for my best bet, I'm going to look into a shot prop tonight, and I'm going to go with Brandon Montour over 2.5. You're going to have to lay a little bit of juice on this one at 145. And I see that it's now up at DK to 150-ish. He's gone over the shot total 4 of his last 6 games. He's been getting a ton of shots on goal, and in that last game against the Leafs, had 9 shots on goal. This is a game where I feel is going to be a little bit more open and a little more end-to-end. We're probably going to see some goals, and the shot props coming with it. So the shots on goal, I'm going to take Brandon Montour minus 145. As far as what's up at WagerTalk, 4 plays up in Europa League and Europa Conference League. It's the semifinals with spots in the finals on the line today. 4 plays up, 1-0 with that Champions League play yesterday, and 3 plays up in the NHL tonight. So you can get those for 50% off as well too, or the 1-day all access, which gets you all of them and any baseball that might come out 50% off. Guys, Andrew will be back, I believe, on Tuesday. So tomorrow it is the Prez on with me, and Brian will be on Monday on the show while we discuss these series. Drop any questions in the video after it's posted on the WagerTalk site that you want us to discuss on the show, and we'll try and get to those ones as well too. Don't forget, the first pitch has already been recorded, and you can find it on the WagerTalk site. Coming up next, top of the hour, it is WagerTalk Today with Teddy and Prez. I'll be on the show talking about this Carolina series as well too. And up on the screen, you can see them. The charity play for Andrew, Brent Burns, to record a point minus 130. My play is the correct score, 4-1 Carolina in the series, not in tonight's game, in the series, plus 550. Brandon Montour, over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 145. And Brian Leonard has the Boston Bruins to win the series at plus 120. For myself and Brian, this is Puck Time, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in, being active in our chat. Hit that like button, and best of luck with your wagers tonight. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's 1 day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $39, for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.